My name is Helen Marie Donovan. I'm 70 years old, and for the last 10 years, I have been nothing but a human ATM with a pulse. People in Wakefield, Massachusetts still call me Miss Helen from the library. I retired 5 years ago after 41 years as head librarian. Everyone thinks I live a quiet little life in the white clapboard house my late husband Tom bought in 1978. What they don't know is that for a decade, I have been quietly draining Tom's life insurance money, my pension, and every overtime check I ever earned to keep my stepson Ryan and his wife Cassie afloat. Tom married me when Ryan was 9. Ryan's real mom walked out when he was 3, and Tom raised him alone until I came along. I never had children of my own, so Ryan became mine in every way that mattered. I was at every Little League game, every parent-teacher night, every orthodontist bill. When Tom died of a heart attack at 58, Ryan held my hand at the funeral and cried, "You're the only mom I've got left, Helen." That sentence bought 10 years of my life. It started small. Ryan was 25, fresh out of UMass Lowell with a communications degree and no job. "Just till I get on my feet, Mom." $600 for rent, then the car insurance surprise increase, then Cassie lost her retail job when the store closed. Pretty soon, I was sending $1,500 a month through Venmo so they could keep their 2-bedroom apartment in Woburn. I added them to my Costco membership. I paid their National Grid bill when the shutoff notice came. I co-signed their consolidated student loans. I bought the groceries for every Thanksgiving and Christmas because money's tight this year. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself love has no price tag. Then came the pandemic. Ryan and Cassie decided to have a COVID-safe micro-wedding in their best friend's backyard in August 2020. 20 people max, they said. I sewed 50 cloth masks as wedding favors. I paid for the Whole Foods catering because everyone's been through so much. I bought Cassie's dress off the rack at David's Bridal and had it altered. I even paid the $800 photographer because we want beautiful memories, Mom. 2 days before the ceremony, Ryan called. "Hey, Mom, we decided to make it just immediate family on Cassie's side plus the bridal party. COVID rules are getting strict again, and her parents are nervous about numbers. We're gonna live stream it on Facebook Live so you can still watch." Immediate family. I was the woman who sat up with him when he had chickenpox. I was the woman who paid his tuition when financial aid fell through. I was the woman who still had his childhood teddy bear in a box in my attic. But I wasn't immediate family. I watched the live stream from my living room, alone, clutching the mother of the groom corsage I'd bought myself at Winston Flowers. The camera panned across Cassie's parents, her 3 siblings, her college roommates, the neighbors who are like family. Not one frame showed the woman who had paid for half the things you saw on that lawn. When the video ended, I closed my laptop, walked to the bathroom, and threw up. 2 days later, they FaceTimed me, all smiles in their new Mr. and Mrs. sweatshirts. "Did you see us, Mom? Wasn't it beautiful?" I smiled the way I had smiled for 10 years. "Beautiful, sweetheart." Then Cassie said, "Oh, before I forget, National Grid is due again, and Ryan's freelance check is late. Can you just Zelle the $480 real quick?" That was the moment the string snapped. I didn't yell, I didn't cry. I simply said, "No, honey, not this month." Silence. Then Ryan laughed nervously. "Mom, come on, we're married now. Things are tight." "Things are always tight," I answered, amazed at how calm I sounded. "And I'm done." I hung up, turned off my phone, and for the first time in a decade, I slept the whole night through. The next morning, I did 5 things. 1. I drove to Rockland Trust and removed Ryan and Cassie from every account they had access to. 2. I changed every password they ever knew. 3. I called my financial advisor, Karen, and asked her to move the remainder of Tom's life insurance into an account with only my name. 4. I bought a Ring doorbell, a full 8-camera system, and paid the guy triple to install it that same week. 5. I joined the Wakefield Senior Center's Wednesday morning yoga class, something I'd wanted to do for 5 years but never had time because I was always on call for their emergencies. For 3 weeks, peace. Then the text started. Mom, we're $200 short on rent. Mom, the car payment bounced. Mom, Cassie's doctor copay was $160. Please. Mom, this isn't funny anymore. I didn't answer a single one. On the 23rd day, I came home from yoga to find Ryan's pickup in my driveway. Both of them were sitting on my front steps like they belonged there. I had given Ryan a key years ago in case of emergency. I watched on the Ring app as he tried it. It didn't work. He looked straight into the camera and flipped it off. I sat in my car and called Karen, my financial advisor, who also happens to be a notary and a fierce Irish woman. Helen, do not get out of that car. I'm calling the police right now. You have every right to protect your property. 2 Wakefield cops showed up in under 8 minutes. Ryan tried the "he's my mom, officer" routine. The officer watched the Ring footage of them trying the old key and told them to leave or be trespassed. Cassie cried those big performative tears. Ryan screamed that I was abandoning family. I stayed in my car until their truck peeled out. That night, I blocked every number they had. A week later, a letter arrived from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Elder Affairs. Someone had filed an anonymous report that I was showing signs of cognitive decline and may be a danger to myself due to isolation and irrational financial decisions. Enclosed was a scheduled wellness check for the following Tuesday. I knew exactly who filed it. I called Karen again. She connected me to attorney Patricia Sullivan, a gray-haired bulldog who specializes in elder abuse cases and works pro bono for seniors when the bad guys are family. Trish came over the same day. We spent 6 hours printing every bank statement, every Venmo record, every grocery receipt I'd saved for 10 years. The total came to $187,400. $187,000 of Tom's death benefit and my retirement. Gone. Tuesday came. The social worker, Ms. Rivera, was polite but clearly prepared to find a confused old lady. Instead, she found me in a neat blouse, fresh haircut, coffee brewing, and Trish Sullivan sitting at my kitchen table with a 4-inch binder. By the time Ms. Rivera left an hour later, she was apologizing to me. Case closed the same day. But Ryan and Cassie weren't finished. 3 months later, on a cold February morning in 2022, I was served papers at my own front door. Ryan had petitioned Middlesex Probate and Family Court to have me declared incapacitated and to appoint himself my permanent guardian and conservator. He actually wanted a judge to rule that his 70-year-old stepmother was too senile to manage her own money, so he could manage it for me. I cried exactly once. Then I got mad. The hearing was set for April. Trish filed mountains of counter-evidence. My perfect cognitive test from Mass General Geriatrics, 10 years of bank records showing the one-way money flow, the Ring footage, the police reports, the Elder Affairs closure letter, sworn statements from my yoga classmates, the librarian who succeeded me, even my Stop and Shop cashier who said, "Miss Helen's sharper than my teenagers." Ryan and Cassie hired a slick lawyer from Boston who tried to paint me as a lonely widow manipulated by new friends and greedy advisors. He brought 3 witnesses. 1, Cassie's cousin, who claimed I seemed confused at the wedding livestream. I never met the girl. 2, their landlord, who said I once called asking if rent was paid. I was checking because they begged me to smooth things over. 3, a pharmacist who swore I'd been hoarding blood pressure meds. I'd filled one old prescription during an insurance mix-up. He later admitted Cassie asked him to sign something for insurance purposes. Trish destroyed them one by one. Then she put me on the stand. I told the judge everything. I told him about the little boy who used to fall asleep on my shoulder during story time at the library. I told him about the $800 photographer and the corsage that wilted on my coffee table. I told him about the day I realized love isn't a Venmo request. I looked straight at Ryan while I testified. His eyes were red, but I couldn't tell if it was shame or just fury that the gravy train had derailed. The judge ruled from the bench. Petition denied with prejudice. The court finds overwhelming evidence of financial exploitation by the petitioners. Mrs. Donovan is clearly competent, articulate, and in full control of her faculties. This case should never have been brought. He awarded me court costs and attorney fees, payable by Ryan and Cassie personally. They left the courthouse without looking back. I never heard from them again. I sold the big house on Nanhan Street 6 months later. Too many memories, too many rooms I kept ready in case they needed to stay over. I bought a sunny 2-bedroom condo overlooking Lake Quannapoet. I donated half the proceeds from the house to the Massachusetts Elder Abuse Prevention Fund in Tom's name. With the rest, I did everything I'd postponed for a decade. I took a watercolor class at the senior center and discovered I'm actually good. My first painting, A Sunrise Over the Lake, hangs in the library now. I flew to Ireland with 3 widows from yoga and kissed the Blarney Stone at 71. I started a scholarship at Wakefield High for kids whose parents can't afford college application fees. I bought myself a Peloton and a puppy named Darcy. Some nights I walk around the lake and look at the stars. I think about the woman who used to flinch every time her phone buzzed with another Venmo request. That woman is gone. I still get the occasional Facebook friend request from a cousin or old neighbor wanting to know what really happened with Ryan. I don't answer. The people who need to know already do. Every November, on the anniversary of the hearing, I treat myself to dinner at the restaurant where Ryan and Cassie had their rehearsal dinner, the one I paid for. I order the lobster I never allowed myself back then because money's tight. I raise a glass of champagne to the empty chair across from me and whisper, "To the boy I loved, and to the woman I finally learned to love more." Then I pay the bill with my own card, leave a big tip, and walk out into the cold Massachusetts night feeling lighter than I ever have. My name is Helen Marie Donovan. I am 72 years old, solvent, healthy, and surrounded by friends who love me, not for what I can Venmo them. And for the first time in my entire life, I am nobody's emergency contact except my own. If you ever find yourself paying for love that never calls unless it needs money, stop. Close the app, change the locks, hire the lawyer, fight the fight. Because the most expensive thing in the world isn't money. It's the years you give away trying to buy something that was never for sale.